Hello everyone and welcome back. This is BisuDagger on the microphone. I welcome you to day 2 of the round of 16 on the Sonic Star League. It is really exciting as we are getting ready to go into Group B. Just saw an amazing Group A of Mind versus Effort. If you've missed that one, go ahead and find my other VOD and watch that first because it is quite exciting. So yes, this SSL11 Star League, it is the 11th one, been running for several years now since the SOSPA era has begun. But now we will be going into Group B that has a group of Zero, Last, Olympus, and Killer. But today's matchup, it will be Olympus versus Last in a TVP matchup on La Mancha. This is going to be quite a different map from Neo Jade. There's the spawn positions are a little bit more awkward. The third is really kind of a place of contention, regardless of the matchup. Really difficult to take. And I'm wondering what Olympus is going to do against the runner-up SSL winner for Season 10. Last is coming in here as one of the top Terran players and just one of the top players in the world. But Olympus rating himself as a top 5 player in this tournament. Is he even a top 5 Protoss player in this tournament? Well, fortunately for him, there's not even 5. Or is there just about 5 Protoss players? Regardless, he's not quite the caliber of Bisu or Free, in my opinion. Okay, so we're looking at the spawns here. It's going to be Terran at the bottom right. And then we're going to be seeing Olympus. It will be at the bottom left. So Last at the bottom right, is he going to go for a straight up cheese against his opponent or trust in his macro, knowing that he is the better player here? That is not an opinion. That is a true statement. He is clearly the better player. He's got all this experience coming from the Kespa team days. And the fact that he's performed so well in previous tournaments, more live experience. But Olympus, okay, what have we seen him do well? We've seen him do all-ins and cheese pressures pretty successfully. And then we've seen him thrive in some crazy late game scenario on Heartbreak Ridge, the totally favored Protoss map, and then defeat a Terran opponent, Iris, I believe. Okay, so taking that into consideration, you really gotta favor Last. So Last is putting up his supply depot inside of his base, and is he gonna go for that gas first into his siege expand, which would make him very conservative, very safe. For me, I feel like the meta is where you put the bunker at the natural is just so solid for Terran players right now that if you do a Rax expand, you're pretty much guaranteed to be safe. It seems like on the maps that are played in current days, it's been solved. But okay, what are we seeing here? A fast assimilator plus the gateway being built. So it looks like an early gas build. Are we going to see something aggressive from Olympus? Is he going to go for a fast robo drop with Reavers? Or is he maybe going to go for DTs? Okay, but the refinery for Last is on its way too. Several recent Terran players have gone for that siege expand style build, especially on Circuit Breaker. It seems like they want to get that early gas, get the upgrades from that factory. And in games like we've seen, again, like with Iris and Sharp, we've seen those two Terran players go for fast 3 bases off that early gas. So that's just something to think about. Now, Circuit Breaker being a much larger map, it's something that you can get away with, especially since they had those fortuitous cross-spawn positions. But La Mancha, you do not want to take a fast 3. You got to be very careful about it. Oh, and look at that, a very sharp picture showing up on top of these monitors here, and Olympus looking like his badass self. He is the Protoss Hope, isn't he? I declared myself the Olympus Dagger instead of BisuDagger because he was able to tackle such an incredible group here. But I feel like the odds are against him. If he does not beat Last here, who are his other 2 opponents? Zero and Killer. So he might have an opportunity against Killer, who hasn't been performing well lately. Lost to Zero in his EVZ, where his micro just didn't shine, and the Muta the Muta matchup against Zero. Okay, but here we go. What is this? A pylon towards the base, and what's he gonna put at that? If he goes for slow drops, that's definitely a possibility. He can put the robotics facility down. He got that early gas, or is he gonna put gateways down? Or something for DTs. Usually you see that early pylon, that forward pylon for drop play. So that's kind of what I'm guessing at. But no, what? It's hidden Citadel of Dune Tech, but it's in a route towards Last. But there are several zealots in here that are doing harassment too. And Last is having to deal with this. He's having to combat these zealots with his Marines and SCVs. But he is continuing his tech forward, and he just sent out a scouting SCV. Is he going to be within range of these buildings here? It's really obvious where his tech units are, but Last, he still hasn't seen it yet. The huge thing, though, is the fact that he went for the gas first and got the factory. It makes him less susceptible to cheeses. This is the ultimate safe build against someone like Olympus. So regardless of what I said about the meta earlier, throw that out the window. Last knows that there's only one way he can lose, and it's in the early game. So he's going to go ahead and defend against Olympus by going for this factory first. And looks like he's going to start walling off the front here too. Putting down a command center, we're seeing this first person view, and yet he still has not seen those tech buildings. Looking on the minimap, this is a crucial thing here. He's inside of the main base though, and he's going to figure it out right away. He does not see any tech. He's got to be aware that there is something fishy going on. And this may be fishy even though he's not playing Haya. Okay, so we are watching in this first person view. How does a Terran player respond? They wall off. So it looks like he's got an SCV in place. He's going to build another supply depot, going to lay that down, and going to do a massive repair behind it. Along with that massive repair, he does have the vultures available to him, and he's trying to scout out as rapidly as possible. Where are these tech buildings? What does his opponent have? And Olympus keeping it secret for so long, but now he is going to be revealed. It is going to be DTs. That vulture knows all the information, and as long as Last can bring some SCVs down into his natural base, he should be able to out-repair any damage from the front. So without a robotics facility, I'm not sure if anything can get done. But DTs, don't underestimate them. They do a lot of damage here. SCVs brought over right now, trying to optimize the surface area that the SCVs are going to hug onto for this massive repair. Trying to get into view. Oh, the turret's done. So the turrets are in line of that bunker. And the vulture. Oh, unfortunately, Last micro isn't too good. He did get picked off between a bunch of probes and a dragoon. But the DTs here still sitting out at the front. Are they going to be able to make their way inside? Last, he's got to hold on right here. It all comes down to this. 5 DTs? Whoa. Okay, Olympus, hold on here. He is going to try and use their capes and Superman his way right into this base. And it looks like the push forward here, using the Dragoon also to target down this supply depot. The supply depot getting really low on health. It's actually almost completely dead now, but massive repairs. It's got 5 SCVs on there, and it was able to out-repair the DTs before they could bust through. And it looks like Olympus is going to be in a really bad position. Okay, guys. Okay. Looks like Last has been able to hold on. The scare here of the semifinal, or basically silver medalist of the SSL11 is able to hang in here, and it looks as though this is going to be an insurmountable position. Trying to throw down a Nexus now, but really throwing it down a Nexus this late after such an investment here, and all his buildings are absolutely vulnerable once the push out does occur. And then DT trying to get some swipes in on that bunker, or the barracks, to see if it is within range of that turret. So the barracks can lift. The tech buildings are vulnerable, and he's going to lose his Citadel of Dune. He's going to lose his Templar Archives. He's going to lose 2 gateways, a pylon. That is a lot of money in tech that will be lost unless he has just the greatest engagements ever. But this is looking like one of those situations, and like in a PvP where you lose your whole army. You just don't have the economy to bring it back. And with Terran and their unforgiving mech forces off 2 base, this is going to be a really tough situation. Okay, so the probes have been transferred over to that natural base. Thinking about what Olympus can do, he's going to be behind on upgrades. If Last decides to go for upgrades, he can use those to his advantage. But relying on just the tanks and vultures with spider mines is going to be okay regardless. What I do like is that he's waiting to build more concept stations and allow the concept stations to max out their energy, because max energy concept stations, and look at that, shout out TL.net scan. And if you guys are all aware, this is the infamous scan that has played and competed just greatly against Zeki in the foreign leagues, has taken down actually a few players in the Korean leagues too. So really solid Terran player representing himself in the stands. But that's enough about scan. Let's get back to what's going on here. DT's still unable to get in. It's that one spinning turret eternally mocking the DTs as they cannot get inside that natural base. He's got to look to maybe doing drops. I still firmly feel like if he did the drops, did it right, picked off the turrets very quickly, then the only way that Last could respond is if he tried to put mines inside of the main base to clean up those DTs. But it could stop mining, it could take down tech, it could do a lot of things. So the DT drops, but instead he's putting down a Stargate. And no, I do not think that this is going to be a one Stargate carrier build. This is looking like it's going to be 2 base Arbiter. And I guess that's one of the things you can transition into is 2 base Arbiter. Oh, no! Oh, he loses 2 Dragoons going into the blue goo. And that was just really bad. Any single spider mine hit is just going to hurt the Protoss so much. So Olympus, though, as I was saying, he can transition into Arbiters because he did get the Templar Archives finished. So you might as well build that tech building. These DTs trying to do some damage here, getting scanned now and just taken out very quickly by those vultures. Last is on top of this. He is not going to allow these DTs to do any damage. 2 more are coming in, though. Olympus, he's got the vultures under control here. Takes down a couple, but here comes the army coming through. He's going to take down a few Marines, too. There is no scan. The scan just barely in range of that one DT. He will escape. Olympus does with 1 more DT away from that core army that is marching across. This is the death march, and I don't know if Olympus can hold on here. Last looking really strong. He's got a lot of army mixed in here. It looks like the tech buildings that I mentioned earlier are going to go down. He is checking the additional bases too to make sure he's not going to be cheesed out in any other manner. And also building turrets. So this is really great for him. Oh, and look at that. That looks like a picture of the Marine or Reach in that photo. And if you guys did not know, the Marine is actually casting this game. He is at this event. So something really cool. If you guys remember the Marine, such a classic Brood War player. Really enjoyed him in the past. So these Dragoons trying to micro backwards here, actually not doing a terrible job. A DT coming in from the top too. He does have an observer out, so he can pick off mines if he wants to. And going for a mine track here. Look, there's a mine right in the middle of those tanks. He's going to be able to drag it right into them. He does manage to take out 1 tank here. The mine does go off. He takes out 2 tanks now. The DT going to a lot of work here. And it looks like the push might get stalled. He might be able to take out all the mech units. Can you believe this? Last is losing his army. Somehow Olympus was pulling out this godlike micro and able to kill off a lot of these units here. The vultures are running inside the main base. Any probe loss is just going to set him further behind here. And a huge amount of vultures are getting blocked off as the pylon wall does complete itself at the natural base. Still, they are within range of the left side of that mineral line. Or I guess you would call that the north side. And the probes have to get micro down to the bottom and mine very inefficiently at that natural base. Okay, the Dragoons here are going to be moving into position to get these vultures backed off. Some breathing room. That's what Olympus needs. He needs to maintain breathing room here. But think about the SCV count. And actually, he's not attacking that pylon by mistake. He needs to actually open up the door so he can get out. But still, the SCV count is really strong. 4 factories, that's really good at this time. Oh, wow. Okay, so the science facility done. Science vessels can come out too. D-Matrix is going to be a huge help. EMPs are going to make things really difficult for Olympus's life. And now just the Forge coming up. Well, he can't just go for a cannon rush, as though I'm sure many of you guys would love for him to just do a massive turtle hold with tons of cannons and reavers or something. But no, this is not a mythical game here. This is not Fairyland. Last is firmly in control now. He's remacroing up his army, and the army supply is still really low for Olympus. So while he had some sort of godlike hold here, it does look like the Arbiter is out. If the Arbiter does have stasis, which it should have at this point since he had such an early Arbiter Tribunal, at least that will help him out. So last, it looks like his mech army is gathering towards the front of his natural again and getting ready to move out for one more push. If this push can be held, I'm going to start to be optimistic for Olympus. Maybe if he does get this next hold here. Okay, so the vultures and the tanks are going to be moving out. He's actually got a few spider mines on the way too, but there is an observer that is tailing the Terran army. He knows exactly where the position is going to be, and Last is going to want to try and take any high ground positioning he can as he slowly engages the Protoss army. And another pick off on a probe here. So Last is being very, very constant and vigil. of where the Protoss army is. And look at this. He's trying to drag the spider mines into the tanks. He actually hits two of the tanks. That was a near perfect spider mine drag. Unfortunately, does not do the damage that Olympus was hoping for here. And actually, those SCVs can go in for a repair if they want, or continue to build turrets to deal with the DT threat. So Zealots are coming out too. It doesn't look like the Zealots have speed just yet. And I wonder if he's going to engage before Zealot speed is done. Now, he did lose that Citadel of Adun, so remember, he would have to build, Olympus would have to build a new Citadel of Adun if he wanted to get the leg enhancement upgrade done for his units. Range at least was done, and the Cybernetics core was built inside of the core, inside of the main base here. Okay, so it looks like a complete siege, and the Vultures are poised on top of this ramp here. And Olympus doesn't have the time to invest in the workers. He really has to invest completely in the army here. Oh, and a lot of spider mines here. He might lose so much if he just has one bad move into that spider mine field. But he does manage to get away just barely scathed, and he's going to catch these vultures. This Zealot on Vulture engagement here. So many vultures. This is reminiscent of that sack versus last game in the finals of the SSL11, where there were so many vultures here. And basically, he does a stasis on the front of this army instead of the back. This is bad. The front tanks are the ones that you want to focus down with the Zealots and the Dragoons, but instead, he's going to leave the back army still untouched here, and the tanks are just going to push Olympus back. He was not able to get the damage done that he would have wanted to do. So poor decision-making by Olympus, showing why he is a Class B player compared to last, who should have won this game by now, but still is just kind of taking his time, making sure he gets that win, and wants to be on the same 1-0 scale as Zero, who also is first in this Group B. So what an incredible PvT we've had evolve out of this crazy DT mix from the beginning of the game here. And all the probes are getting pulled. It looks like they're going to be used to be transferred, brought into the engagement. Is this going to be the old probe surrounds Terran army and then Protoss somehow wins move? No. Okay, so it's not. The Zealots and Dragoons are going to be sitting right here, just absorbing tons of siege tank fire, and I think that this is going to be the end of the day for Olympus. We are watching the future fantasy timing of the Protoss race. It seems we have identified the player who is unwilling to accept that he has lost here, going to be losing his Arbiter here, and actually, from that view, we've learned that Olympus has just played this entire game with one hand. Regardless, though, he should have played with two. Losing this game, Last is going to take the 1-0 lead in this group and be at the top of the group with 0. What an incredible game between Last and Olympus here. Last playing so solid. So think about this. Group B, it's going to be Olympus versus 0. 0, one of the best ZVPers in the world. Next to By Hero, maybe even better. But Olympus is going to have to pull out his best strategy possible in Wednesday's game on July 8th. So be prepared. Heartbreak Ridge, a map where I think Olympus will have a small advantage. Can he try and win a PvZ against 0? It's going to be tough to tell. Thank you guys. Again, this is BisuDagger on the microphone, casting for you the SSL Round of 16 Day 2. This is Group B, and tune into my next video if you're not watching live for Group C next.